Have you ever watched a movie and after the movie got done, you have to ask yourself, what did I just watch? That happens to me all the time, so I decided to make a dedicated series on my YouTube called What Did I Watch? Going over all the craziest, wackiest, out there B-grade horror, exploitation, comedies, you name it. It's weird, it's wacky, it's strange, it's bad. I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna review it. So this is episode 2, and we're going over what happens if you add the movie Hollow Man with Porky's. Two very different movies, but you add these together and you're gonna get the film that I just watched, and it was not great, it was not bad, but I don't know how many times I can watch this movie, and that is The Invisible Maniac. So before we jump into The Invisible Maniac, I kind of want to give you guys a quick brief summary thoughts what I think of Hollow Man and what I think of Porky's, and how I think these two added together can make a bad B-grade cult horror film. So we'll start off with Hollow Man. So this got Elizabeth Shue, Kevin Bacon. Basically, Kevin Bacon is an amazing scientist on the verge of creating invisibility and being able to come back from invisibility. So that's the tough part for them, is they've already created invisibility, but they can't bring the creature or the test subject back to life from that invisibility. Kevin Bacon finds a way to do it through his computer, thinks he's got it all figured out, doesn't tell the government who he's working for about it, and decides to test it out on himself, just like any good scientist would, right? Just test it on yourself. Don't go for approval from anybody. Just try it yourself and hope for the best. Starts working out well. He's invisible. He goes through the troubles of being invisible, which are, they did think about some unique things that I would have not thought about. And that's like he has no eyelids, so he can't sleep. The light is super sensitive to him because of those eyelids. But he starts getting some mental issues being invisible and tries to come back from being invisible with his serum that he had tested on his computer and thought it would work. Keyword there is thought it would work, because it did not. They tried to bring him back. Luckily, he survives. And then everything kind of hits the fan after that, right? So he's still invisible. He's not handling it. He sneaks out of the lab. He causes some trouble out in the city. And then I'm not going to spoil any more of that film because I think you should check it out. I actually really like Hollow Man. But so basically, scientist, invisibility, going crazy, doing not so good things, right? So take that from Hollow Man. The other piece to this puzzle is Porky's. And I love this movie. I love a good raunchy comedy. I know a lot of my friends in the movie collecting community and the physical media community also love this movie. Adam, I'm not talking about you. But Porky's follows some high school kids. They go to a strip club called Porky's, get kicked out, and they have their whole film is kind of getting their revenge on Porky, the owner of that establishment. What Porky's is most famous for is the shower scene. So you got that on the cover. Flip that around. So the boys have a way to peek into the girls' locker room and watch them while they shower. That's what this movie is most famous for. Good raunchy comedy from the past. definitely check out Porky's. It's a lot of fun. It's got Kim Cattrall in it. That's the only one I think I remember. They give her the nickname of Lassie. You'll find out why in the film. But takeaway from this one is the shower scene, sneaking in, watching the girls shower, and kind of the high school aspect of it. So how do these all relate to The Invisible Maniac, and what did I just watch? So The Invisible Maniac, the story of this starts off with a scientist. He gathers all the other great scientists of the world around him and says he has made invisibility. He tries it out, it doesn't work, they all laugh at him, and he goes on a rampage. He ends up in the mental hospital, of course. He finds a way to escape. You gotta keep the movie going somehow, right? So he finds a way to escape, and he becomes a high school physics teacher. From there, he does his thing. The students are making fun of him, but as any good scientist, he has not given up on making that invisibility. So he's testing it in his home on his own free time, and he's not working at the school as a pretend physics teacher. He finally makes invisibility, tests it out on himself, just like any good scientist would, just like Kevin Bacon in Hollow Man, and it works. He has made it. He can go invisible, he comes back, it wears off, but there is some side effects that he did not anticipate. And there is two main side effects that happen. His libido, his horniness just climbs through the roof and becomes extremely horny. And he becomes angry and murderous and upset and wants to cause a rampage. So those two mixed together, being a physics teacher at a high school, on the run, don't mix well for the students. So there's some classic shower scenes where the teacher is very much like Porky's, peeking in on the girls. There's actually a scene where instead of a hole in like the boiler room, there's a hole in the gym with like a vent where the boys and the janitor and then the teacher can peek through and watch the girls shower. He takes it one step further, being invisible, attacks some of the girls in the shower, attacks them in different ways. Probably my favorite death scene in this film is there's a death by someone having a sandwich just shoved down their throat, and there's just their throat like expands, and probably my favorite death scene in the movie. I hope I didn't spoil that, but it is a kind of review YouTube, so you get what you get. But it's fun. The acting is horrible. The comedy is not great. The story is there, but it's not very well executed, mainly by the horrible acting and the lines. The nudity is abundant. So, you know my 3 rules if you watch my first video on this series, but I have 3 rules for campy, bad, horror, these type of films I'm going to review for this series. And those 3 rules are: number 1, gotta have some blood, guts, gore, right? Number 2, nudity, boobies. You gotta have that. If it's a campy B-grade horror film and you don't have that, I don't know what you're doing. And number 3, it's gotta be fun, funny, have some sort of plot. It just can't have number 1 and number 2 and have no story. That's not gonna be entertaining to keep me entertained for 90 plus minutes. So Invisible Maniac definitely ticks all 3 of those. I would say it doesn't strongly tick the 3rd box because the humor is pretty bad, but it is probably so bad that it's good. And number 1 and 2 are just so abundant that it kind of overpowers number 3, and that's why I don't think this movie is horrible. Will I watch this movie all the time? Probably not, but I do own it, and I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to keep it in my collection. I like it enough that I will watch it every once in a while. But The Invisible Maniac is definitely a crazy film. It is definitely parts Hollow Man, definitely parts Porky, but a whole lot more craziness and a whole lot more B grade. So if you have not seen The Invisible Maniac, you like Vinegar Syndrome titles, this is released by Vinegar Syndrome, I'd say give it a shot, check it out. It's not the worst Vinegar Syndrome movie I've ever watched. Not my favorite either, but it's worth a shot if you're into those type of films. But as always with Movies with James, it's that time of day, time of night, whenever you're watching, for you to go find a good movie, get some good snacks, and have a good night.